Parents, tell me this. If someone came to you and said, I'll pay for your child to go to childcare during the day, so you don't have to futz with babysitters, grandma and grandpa, friends, all the other band-aids, would you take it? I bet you would. I would. Well, guess what? That's basically what New York State is doing right now. Most of you listening here right now qualify for childcare assistance. The problem is not enough people know to grab the opportunity. Now you do on today's Story of the Day.
Support for Story of the Day comes from Long Run Wealth, an SEC-registered investment advisor in Lake Placid, providing comprehensive wealth management, retirement, and financial planning solutions. LongRunWealth.com. And from SciTech Business Solutions, training and consulting services to help businesses grow. More information at citec.org.
Hey, I'm David Sommerstein. It's Wednesday, June 28th, and I gotta say it's my exchange student's birthday. Paula from Barcelona, feliz cumple. First up, North Country voters cast ballots in primary elections across the region yesterday. Detective Rick Engel defeated Under Sheriff Sean O'Brien with 65% of the vote in the Republican primary for St. Lawrence County Sheriff, though the two of them will face off again in November. O'Brien is on the Conservative Party line. Lewis County Sheriff Mike Carpinelli cruised to an easy 70 to 30% win over Nicole Turk in the Republican primary. They'll have a rematch in November too, because Turk is on the Conservative and Independent Party lines. In Watertown, voters chose 4 candidates in a field of 10 for city council. Robert Kimball, Benjamin Schoen, Leonard Spaziani, and Timothy Babcock will face off for 2 city council seats in November. Incumbent Councilman Patrick Hickey lost his seat. In Plattsburgh, Jacob Avery appears to have beaten Damian Gilbert in the Democratic primary for a seat on the city council. Avery won by just 22 votes in unofficial Ward 2 results. The latest poll from the Siena Research Institute shows that voters in New York State oppose using SUNY dorms to temporarily house new migrants. Breaking that down among political parties, that plan is opposed by more than 3/4 of Republicans and a majority of independents, while Democrats are evenly divided. Regarding Governor Kathy Hochul's standing with voters, pollster Steve Greenberg says New Yorkers are evenly divided, with 42% viewing Hochul favorably and 43% unfavorably. But he says those numbers are a little better than last month.
In terms of her job approval, right now it remains above water. 48% of New Yorkers approve of the job that Hochul's doing as governor. 44% disapprove. Down a couple points from last month when it was 50 to 44 in terms of approval.
The Siena poll also shows New York voters give both houses of the state legislature more favorable marks than unfavorable, but not by much. The Assembly had a favorability rating of 38 to 36%, and the Senate had a favorability rating of 41% positive to 38% negative. The coronavirus pandemic put a big spotlight on childcare, and it's led to some real shifts in public policy over the past few years. In New York, the state is investing $7 billion over 4 years to improve childcare, including making many more families eligible for child care assistance. That's money to pay for your child's daycare. But a lot of people don't know that. Getting people signed up and enrolled and finding care at all is a whole other can of worms. Amy Feiereisel reports.
If you're a family of 4 with 2 kids and you make less than $90,000 a year, you're eligible for child care assistance. In October, you'll be eligible if you make less than $99,000. That's a huge change from how things were just a few years ago. In 2021, the limit was $55,000 for a family of 4.
It's a huge expansion. It is a amazing commitment by the state.
That's Kathy Broder, director of the Jefferson Lewis Child Care Project. She says many families don't realize the state will pay thousands of dollars for their child care.
There are a lot of people right now that have their kids enrolled in care, that have had their kids enrolled in care for a couple of years, that don't realize they could be getting help with paying for child care. The state has made this investment, but it won't go anywhere if people don't sign up for it.
The increased limit, nearly double in just a few years, makes hundreds of thousands of new families eligible.
And that includes a lot more of what we think of as middle income people, families that are, struggling to pay for childcare, but they're making decent income.
Karen Calden manages the Child Care Assistance Program at St. Lawrence County's Social Services. Since August of 2022, when eligibility expanded, Calden says they've seen lots of new applications.
Since then, there has been a huge increase of families that are eligible for the program and for that assistance, which is really a great plus for our area.
They've enrolled 50 new families into their program, from 80 to 130, and many more than that are eligible. Calden says using child care assistance helps both families and providers. For families, it's a lot of money saved. It can add up to around $10,000 to $12,000 a year per child. It can allow families to go from part to full-time care and parents to go from part to full-time work.
Young families are able to stabilize their childcare, to know that they can continue working, and that young families can further stabilize and put more money towards, paying off student loans or buying a house.
For providers, it's a steady paycheck, and the program even pays providers for days when a child is absent. It's 24 absentee days right now, but it'll increase to 80 days in October.
So that stabilizes for the provider, that they know if they have a child that's on the child care assistance program, that even if this child maybe is sickly and, it doesn't go to daycare and ends up with more absences, that they're still going to get paid.
But here's the big wrench in the system. The North Country is still a childcare desert. Getting assistance doesn't mean you'll be able to find a spot in a daycare or with a home provider. Because there's such a scarcity of care, Karen Calden in St. Lawrence County and Kathy Broder in Jefferson and Lewis say they've been seeing more families going another, less known route, using something called the legally exempt childcare process. Broder says this is more commonly referred to as friend, family, and neighbor care.
Which is, you can have somebody that's a family member or your neighbor or somebody that you know and trust approved to receive childcare assistance.
Individuals have to go through a background check, but then families can use state money to pay, say, grandma or a retired neighbor to watch their children. Broder says it's a great option for families waiting for a childcare spot to open up. It's also an alternative for parents that work shifts and nights when there are very few licensed providers available.
Those are hard things to fill. If you work in the evening, you get out of work at 9 o'clock, and you can find someone that can care for your child from 5 o'clock till 9 o'clock, it may not be a temporary situation at all. It could be a permanent situation that works out really well.
Reimbursement rates for childcare have also increased, which makes the money more substantial, to around $700 a month per child.
It can be something that mom could actually appreciate this income. It's not token income.
You can apply for childcare assistance through your county's social services department. Applications can be found on county websites. Broder and Calden say it's worth applying for. It could save many families tens of thousands of dollars a year. Amy Feiereisel, North Country Public Radio.
In our online story at ncpr.org, you can find a table of income requirements for child care assistance and a link to a state quiz that will tell you if you're eligible. That's at ncpr.org. Of course, we have more news there all the time on our website, ncpr.org. Music today by Danny Thomas of Canton and the Saranac Project of Saranac Lake. I'm David Summerstein, North Country Public Radio.